and so it was critical that I shave it off because I was pulling on it and it got annoying, and that's when I shave my beard off. When it gets annoying, shave it off.
Why didn't you just shave off one side where the hammer was going to be? And then you'd keep most of it.
I mean, I guess I could have done that and made a fashion statement, like Two-Face sort of deal.
So you've been doing home repairs. I can tell because you're wearing these overalls.
Yes, I I look like a farmer,
You look very manly.
or more like kind of a goofy hick from the country.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. You're getting ready to sell your house, so you have to like super gear into home improvement mode.
Yeah, I mean, we bought this house with the idea that we'd improve it, and we do that pretty much with almost everything that we buy, is the idea that you're going to make it better. We're going to be moving soon, and so it's just like we hadn't lived in the house for more than a couple of years, and we moved into the house with like a 5-year plan, but we're moving in a 2-year plan. So there's a lot of like things that we wanted to get done that we haven't gotten done, and so now we're like doing like everything in like a 3-month sort of period, and it's kind of crazy. But yeah, I've just been right now we're replacing the windows, and the windows weren't actually too bad. My father-in-law kind of steered me into it just because.
So is he like an Ultraman? Because he can like replace windows. What else can he do?
Well, okay, so Christina's father has actually built 2 houses by himself, just him.
See, that's really fucking amazing. Like he's a man.
Yeah, he like he that's kind of like like go out in the wild, build your own house, and
That's
live in it. And
crazy. Like so he's literally done the entire house. It's not just like
yeah,
he did
if you
part
can
of
think
it.
of anything, no, yeah, he didn't he did the cabinets, he did the flooring, he did every single thing in a house.
I'm so glad that he did because I am gonna reap benefit because I'm not a homeowner yet and you are. And so what's going to happen is you're going to get that knowledge, and I think you're a pretty decent teacher, and you are pretty good at retaining that knowledge. So here's what's going to happen: you're going to fix this house, you're going to get a new house, and fix some of those problems there, right? And then
Yeah.
in whatever 10 years or who knows, I will get a house, and I will not know anything, and I will get to ask you. It's going to be
Yeah.
great. I'm so jazzed that you're doing this for me.
It's like, I hate this gosh damn toilet. I want to replace the toilet. All right, well, here's what you do. You need to take up the toilet, put it in a wax ring, and get your other one. Yep. You
Yep.
need to make sure your ventilation is the same size. Yeah. He is passing on a great deal of knowledge. He's older, and it's always hard when you think of like elderly when they pass away. You lose their
Valuable knowledge.
immense number of expertise and everything like that. Yeah,
Totally.
he definitely has a lot to pass it down and stuff like that. So yeah, like currently learning how to install Windows properly, and it has been a learning experience. And I'm happy that I've been able to weatherproof my windows. And I don't know if you were there for the bathroom fans. You did the flashing. You were with me when we did the flashing. For the
Yeah,
bathroom fans.
so you had me over. I mean, it must have been a while ago. Like it was probably a year ago.
A year ago, yeah.
I came up to visit, and you were like, "I need your help." And so we went on the roof, and you strapped yourself to the roof with like a harness, and like went down on the sides and nailed some gutters in, and then we cut a big fucking hole in the roof and made a vent for the bathrooms, and I was nervous as I tend to be about these things. I'm like, oh god, are you sure you're supposed to be doing that? I don't know if that's the experience you came away from it, but
Honestly, it's pretty nerve-wracking when you're saying, you know what, I'm gonna cut a big hole in my roof, and it's
Yeah.
gonna be great.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, it all worked out, and you like sealed it up and everything, and yeah, it's good.
Yep, and now I have new bathroom ventilation.
It makes me less afraid to go Google those things and try to figure them out. But yeah, it's gonna be great for you to have that knowledge.
Just a warning for anyone: if you want to go ahead and do it yourself project, you can save yourself a crap ton of money. For instance, usually fixing your toilet will be a $15 sort of fix, and if you hire a plumber, it'll be about $120 fix. So you can save yourself a great deal of money. The only warning I would give you is that after you've watched 20 YouTube videos on how how to fix your toilet. It will then appear in your recommended video slot forever. What would you like to watch today? You'd like to watch toilets.
Really, the solution to this is go into like incognito mode or whatever, or sign out of all of your accounts first, and then
Right.
and then look up the videos.
And then Google toilets, yeah.
Which
Toilet
obviously
repair.
you didn't do because you're getting recommendations.
No, I still get toilet repair videos to this day.
So before we jump into some of the stuff I want to talk about, we have to do some follow-up because there are a few follow-up items from a few episodes ago. Okay, so one is that we got a comment on one of our podcasts. I think it was episode 10, which was quite a few ago. I think this should be number 13 here. I apparently said unsarcastically that rap isn't music, and I just want to apologize because that's dumb. That's really dumb of me. I like it.
You've taken some time to soul search and realize that you were obviously in the wrong on that one, huh?
Not really. I just like, it's, you say stupid stuff all the time. Everybody says stupid stuff. It's just a lot of it isn't recorded. And we do this thing where we record ourselves and I don't always catch it when I go back and edit. I'm just, sometimes I'm half listening because I'm paying attention to something else, or sometimes I just miss it, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So like, apparently now I would say it sarcastically to annoy people who are fans of things, because I like to do that and be like, oh well, rap isn't really music, like as a
You're
joke.
willing to troll people who like rap music.
Sure.
Really...
Yeah, I'm willing to troll anybody who likes anything, and I'll make fun of it. Yeah, that sounds good. But yeah, if I said it, I think I said it unironically, and like it's just totally not true. Rap obviously is music, and that's really stupid. So we have some follow up from last week, which is that my sister, who made the beautiful logo that you're seeing, we talked about some ridiculous policies and the things that she was not allowed to say, and I now have a more full list of things that she's not allowed to say.
Banned word list.
Her banned word list, because she works at a university, and they want to make sure that I can see, you listeners out there, you can't really see the frustration that is like apparent in Ben's face, but it's pretty great. So she cannot say, like we said last time, freshman, dormitory, dorm, housing, unless she says university housing, complex, and she cannot use pronouns like he or she. They have to ask what they go by. So I just wanted to complete that list from last time. We already talked about it last time. We don't really need to rehash it, but you can go back and listen to it. It's probably in the first 15 minutes if you really want to hear us argue about it.
I think it's
so
funny
frustrated.
that when you grow up, they're like, use your words, and then like apparently when you get to a certain age, they're like, okay, you can't use words, you can't use these words, they're too offensive, like they're too taboo.
Yeah. So let's not go there. But okay, so moving right along. There's some follow-up that I have with you that you don't really probably even know that I have to talk about it, but I don't think it's something we've talked about on the podcast, but I think I've told you, I'm pretty sure we've had this conversation where I'm telling you that, if only I worked a half hour later, I would get up at the same time, and then I would have a half hour to myself in the morning. And I just want to say that I apologize to you because that is complete bullshit. I will never get up early. I am not a morning person as much as I might try to get up in the morning. I will wake up at the point where I need to in order to get ready, and that is like just enough time to leave. I will not get up early and do things. I will do things after work. That's how I do it.
It's possible that in your future you may get to the point where you are mature enough to realize that you do enjoy a little bit of time to yourself in the morning, and that it improves your entire day.
Totally, potentially, yes. I see the value. I see it's out there. I have I do not have the ability to do that right now.
So don't give up hope.
Yeah, I won't give up hope. So for our segments, there's a segment that we started last time called Grant Opens a Box. I don't have any boxes. In fact, I've been doing the opposite because we are moving. Maggie and I are moving. I haven't told you. We will get to that.
I have a box.
You have a box? We can still open a box in the segment?
I just opened it though. I just opened
Well,
the
just
box.
pretend like you reopened it. Just pretend.
All
Where's
right,
the?
all right.
Can you go get it? Is
Do I?
that in reach?
Yeah, I'll go get it. It's like right here.
And now I'm left all alone with you while we wait for Ben. Probably some of this I'll cut out, but it's just you and me. I have you to myself now. Oh yeah, we're just hanging out. And then that's the first time I had met the Pope, and that's that story. And anyway, he's back, so we'll save it for another time.
Okay, so unlike you, I already know what's in this box because I don't order things and then kind of forget about them until they just magically arrive, right? I know.
Right, that's like the whole point of the segment, right? Is
Right.
that happens to me pretty frequently.
Now, I happen to know what is exactly in this box, but would you like to guess? Since it's not going to be a surprise to me, would you like to guess what's in this box?
Okay, so the box is about maybe like a foot and a half long, maybe a little less than that, maybe like 18 inches. Wait, is 18 inches a foot and a half? Yeah, it is. It's about probably, yeah, it's probably like a foot and a half long. And it is only like, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches wide by maybe 3 inches.
It's about 2 by 3, I would say.
Right. It's a dildo. I really hope it is. No, it's something. I have no idea. Like I can only think magic cards, maybe, but that's not quite big enough.
Well, it has more. It has more along the lines to doing of like what we were doing with the house.
I was just gonna say, I was my next guess was that it was going to have to do with home improvement. It's not shaped like a hammer, a big screwdriver. I'm still gonna go with dildo.
Okay, so the first thing is that it's a cylinder,
He's revealing it slowly.
and
Is it a cylinder?
it is a cylinder. This is like
It's a mystery. It looks like a flashlight so far.
so.
Oh, okay. So I know what that is, obviously. Okay, now I think a lot of people would have no idea what that is, but my parents owned a business where they like fixed these and stuff, and so I have an intimate knowledge with vacuum cleaner parts, and so this is the I know it's like the most bizarre thing, and it is the bottom. If you've never looked underneath a vacuum cleaner, it is the bottom bit that basically scoops up stuff, and it's like a spiral brush on a plastic cylinder or tube.
It's commonly referred to as a beater brush, and I had to call my vacuum cleaner manufacturer, Eureka, because this one that I'm holding actually is the old one, and it had melted, and you can see that the ball bearing at the end has basically come out of center, which meant that the casing on the end was melted, and it's entirely melted on the end.
All right, so we still got our segment.
Yeah.
We still got our segment. We open a box, and you have.
It wasn't as exciting as your boxes, I have to admit, but we did.
No, no, it wasn't. I got really excited last time about it, but oh my god, I didn't even know how excited I was until I went back and listened to it.
Yeah.
Because like in my mind, I'm just at a constant level all the time because I'm just in my own head. I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense to be whatever level I'm at. But like, I went back and listened to it. I was like, oh my god, I like screamed into the microphone.
You went all the way back to like third grader at birthday party level.
No, 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 no. This is not a way to describe excitement levels. Absolutely not. I refuse that. You can get super excited about stuff and be 80 and like be passionate and like freak out about stuff, and it is totally okay. There is nothing wrong with your maturity level or your intelligence or anything. Get excited about stuff.
Yeah, I have to say getting excited about stuff is super important, but I'm just going to run a straw poll. Do you think he got excited in a mature way or in the third grader birthday party way? That's all I'm saying.
No, I think this is not. There's no in between. They're the same thing. Okay, but yes, please leave a comment and let us know what you thought about the last one. But yes, but I do still have the books here. We have started basically a Dungeons and Dragons campaign that is called Titan's Grave. You can look it up. Actually, it'll be in the notes. And I have started a campaign with my friends. We have several characters. We have an orc lawyer. We have a couple of human mages. Yes, we have an orc lawyer. It's very strange. A couple of human mages. We have a gnome that has replaced most of his limbs with bionic limbs.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
We have a lizard rogue, and we have a dwarf elf, like a half dwarf, half elf lightsaber wielder, basically. Not quite lightsaber, but similar. So that's what we have so far, and we're gonna start next Friday. I'm very excited about that. So yeah, that's I think that wraps up our. Oh no, we have another segment that we're gonna do at the start of the podcast here, which is, and we're 20 minutes into the episode.
Yeah, we're still in the start of the podcast here.
That's good. Eventually, it'll just be a feedback loop, and we'll just talk about what we talk about. So, ridiculous policies. That is our other one. Last time it was the banned words at the university, but this time we are moving out of our apartment, like I said, and we got a notice before we did that our curtains were inappropriate.
Okay, so you're saying that what you have naked women jumping over tigers on your curtains. That's what you're saying.
No. The policy is non-white curtains are not allowed.
So you're saying that because your curtains are beige or red or purple, they have been deemed offensive.
They are patterned. We actually have drapery.
They are patterned with drug paraphernalia and marijuana leaves.
They're patterned in a blue and black abstract pattern, and it kept the light from coming in. Something that's also kind of a side tangent to this is that there is a very bright light right outside of our apartment windows, and we had basically kind of unscrewed it and just unscrewed the bulb a bit so it wouldn't turn on. It didn't really light up anything more, but it just made the light come directly through our window. It didn't, like, our parking lot is very lit already, so it wasn't really necessary. It's not doing anything, but it's very annoying to us. But in addition, we had these darker curtains so we could keep the light out.
Which is the entire purpose of curtains, not white curtains.
Well, it technically wasn't a tapestry, or it technically was a tapestry, not a curtain, but so we, had this for a year, and we didn't have any problems until a month ago, and that's a bizarre thing to me. I think if you're not really affecting anybody and it doesn't look junky, like that's presumably why, right? Because it looks junky.
No harm, no foul sort of thing, yeah.
Right. I hate a lot of rules for this reason, is because they're just there to be rules, and that's the worst kind of rule.
Well, I think that rule in there is to, affect some sort of status quo. Like, we're all going to be normal. We're now all going to define normality, and everyone needs to fit inside this normality box. It's going to be an important part of our society to have all white curtains. I mean, like, Greece has, like, the same rules, like, on some of their islands where you have to go and you cannot paint your house any color.
That's different. Now, let me talk about that for a second. That is so different from what I'm experiencing. Because in my parking lot, if I decided to paint flames on my car and have my car, like, crazy, like, I got all my friends to Sharpie all over my car. Right. There are some cars out there that are like that. If I did that, that wouldn't be okay. Or, I mean, that would be fine. No one would object to that or be able to say anything. And it's literally a few feet from our window. It's like probably 10 feet. My car is 10 feet from our window. Yet, half the time that the blinds are up, you can't see a blue and black abstract pattern. Obviously, this is why it's in this segment. It's a ridiculous policy. It's so fucking stupid. It just really annoyed me, and I had to put it in here.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. There's really no way I could play devil's advocate.
Yeah, I know. It's because it's stupid. The whole Greek, everybody has to keep their houses the same. That makes for an amazing, like, environment. You go there and you're like, wow, yeah, this is a unique experience, right? And they all have agreed.
I don't know if they all agree, but it does come down to the thing of, like, because it does make a picturesque sort of environment, they basically do have, I mean, large part of their money and income is tourism, so you would actually want that to basically help the prosperity of the island. So unlike your drapes,
and it's very impactful to the view. Like, my little curtains in a small window is not gonna change anything. There's a dumpster 30 feet away, you know? Like, this is
Right,
stupid.
right. What's going to have a more negative vibe from your apartment? The fact that somebody's got blue and black abstract drapes, or there's a dumpster just sitting there out there doing its job, but it's
I mean, it's a little ways away, but it's still very visible, and yeah, it's like,
yeah.
this is just, it's
When I
dumb.
lived in the apartments, they would put the dumpsters within an enclosure, and so you would not
That
necessarily
would
be
be nice.
totally invisible. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just like, what's the point? If you're not going to hide your dumpster, don't worry about the curtains.
Right. A ridiculous segment, or ridiculous policy, our segment here. I just wanted to tell my small little Gene story. I worked at Fred Meyer for too long, and I've complained about it on the podcast before, right? I haven't been working there for a while. So it was my last day at Fred Meyer, and my regular boss, he liked me, and he wasn't working that day. He's a pretty chill guy, I would say. Yeah, I'd totally work for him again. Not at Fred Meyer, but I would work for him as a person again. You know, there's
Right.
like the store I could leave, but you know, the guy was fine. So he's not there. So what I do for my last day, I decide it's my last day. You know, I'm not gonna have too much work to do because I know it was a slow day. Or I knew it was going to be. It wasn't like a Saturday. Grocery stores are very busy on Saturdays for anybody who's interested. I was like, you know, we do this thing every Friday, Casual Friday. You're allowed to wear jeans because it's Casual Friday. Even though that doesn't really make any sense because it's not an office environment and not everybody works on Fridays, or it's like not the day before their weekend. But whatever. Okay, I get it. You want consistency.
Right. If for some reason you were going to wear jeans on a Wednesday, it probably would not hurt the professionality quotient too much of a Fred Meyer.
I think it was a Wednesday. And I decide, hey, it's my last day. It's my Friday, or you know, kind of. I think I'm just gonna wear jeans, and I wear my nicest jeans. They're dark and very, you know, there's no holes in them or anything. They look nice. They're nice, fashionable jeans.
Right.
And I wear the rest of my regular outfit. And
Yeah, there's not a uniform at Fred Meyer anyway.
there is. You can't wear jeans. you have to wear solid colors. And I wore a nice blue button-down shirt, as I usually did. I go through half of my shift, no problems. I'm doing my job. I'm moving tiny boxes to the front of the shelves as you're supposed to. It's endlessly. Have I talked? I don't think I've talked on the podcast about how it's like the Greek. There's this Greek myth where I think Sisyphus is the name of the character, and he is forever cursed to roll a boulder up a mountain every day and all night, and then at the end it rolls all the way back down, and he has to go down and start over, and he has to roll it up again the next day forever. He just does it forever. For some reason, these Greek myths have just clicked in my head, like the forever things. Like the guy who, like, the water level goes up to his chin, right? And he, like, goes down. Anytime he tries to go down to drink, it just, like, drops too far for him to drink. Like, forever. I don't know why those stick in my head so hard, but they do. So anyway, I'm doing this, and it feels like forever, but it's only halfway through my shift. And I get told by one of the new managers, hey, I want to go talk to you in the back real quick. And I was like, well, there's nobody around. Can you just, you know, tell me right now? And she's like, no, we should go in the back. And I, you know, kind of raised my eyebrow at this time. I'm like, okay, am I in trouble? And she's like, no, it's fine. Just come out of the back. So I'm like, all right, a bit confused, a little odd behavior, but whatever. I'm not in charge, and I don't, even though I like to ask why a lot, I don't always do it because it would drive people up the wall. So we get in the back, and my main manager, well, okay, so there's like 20 managers, you know, when you work in a grocery store or something, you probably have 20 managers. You have the main guy.
There's going to be there's going to be an operations manager and then the main manager and a
Right.
floor manager, and there's going to be department managers who have also seniority over you. Yeah.
My main manager, he liked me. His next level down, she was a bitch. She was incompetent, one of the most incompetent managers I've ever worked with. She had no leadership skills. She was very passive and flighty and scatterbrained and just horrible. She wasn't nice either. I mean, she wasn't terribly mean, but she was just like should have not been in a manager position, really. So she's back there. And then her level manager of the electronics department is back there too. And I feel like I know when I'm doing something wrong and when I'm not. And when I'm not, I can be confident and I can hold my own. So I'm like, what's going on, guys? Because my manager that I had talked about is so scatterbrained and could not handle herself in this kind of situation, they had to call in another manager from another department to talk to me about my jeans.
So she's the one who had a problem, but she's not actually competent enough to say, we do have a dress policy.
Yes, exactly. I don't know.
And even though it's your last day, we would have really appreciated you following the dress policy, or we need to send you home because you didn't affect your dress policy.
There are 3 managers, one is the one that got me to back there. She's a lowly person. In my department, she's the lowest on the totem pole. They had to bring 3 managers. I don't know whose problem it is. I don't know who's really upset by this, right?
Right, but the one that's supposed to be explaining to you is the one that cannot put a sentence together to basically explain.
Yes, and immediately the electronics department head takes charge, and she's like, "You don't have the proper uniform, and you need to go home and change." And I was like, okay, it's my last day, so, in a way it's kind of like my Friday, and it's my very last day, and I'm doing the rest of my work just fine. We're not very busy. Can I just stay, finish my shift out? I don't think that's too much to ask. And she immediately said, no, you either go home and change or go home. And I was kind of incredulous, and I was like, well, can you just be reasonable with me here and just let me finish my last shift on something that doesn't affect anyone? Is that not okay? And she was very upset about the whole thing, and it's like, no, you either need to go home and change or go home. And that's like it. She wouldn't discuss it with me. She's like, we have a policy and that we don't allow anyone to break that. Now, if you might say, okay, this is stupid of you, Grant. You should have known better. But the environment there is generally most of the time pretty relaxed. If it hadn't been my last day, this electronics lady, she didn't really like me. I suspect that most of the time no one would have really cared or noticed if you had accidentally, I forgot to change today,
Well,
most of the time you would go,
she
don't do it again.
She still would have no, she still would.
She may have, but most other managers probably would have been like, whatever.
Right.
Anyway, so
yeah.
I'm glad I was able to share that rant with somebody because, I have my long-term partner, Maggie. She can only handle so much of me, and so if I start on a rant like this, she's like, yeah. Whatever, go tell it to somebody else.
Get over it, move on. Yeah, no, I do like to rant and listen to rants just because usually there's a segment of truth to like both sides.
Except in this case.
Or there's an insight to be had. No, unfortunately there is, I understand the idea of trying to build professionalism in a workplace, but the thing is that trying to say that the way you're dressed is the most important aspect of a professional workplace is totally incorrect. It
wasn't really about that at all, though. It was really about control. It was about It was about me bending a very minor rule and them going, we can't allow this, and it was just so over the top,
So this like really ties into like my point of view that people do not actually have authority.
Oh, well, I mean, this is maybe a little bit too deep for this podcast. I mean, we do talk about some serious issues on here, on this comedy podcast. But, yes, I don't really... I mean, this is... Okay, wait.
What she was basically... What her perspective was is that she was the icon of authority. And thus she had the place to say that, Grant, you're not dressing according to our dress code and professionalism. you need to go home and change, and I'm going to tell you exactly what to do because I have the authority to tell you what to do.
Well, okay, and this is kind of a hard concept for people to get their head
Or to
around.
set the circumstances of the
This is kind of a
situation.
hard idea to get your head around if you've never been exposed to it. But just if you just realize that everybody's a person and that authority is really a human construct that we made up and we've decided that some people get to say what's right and what's wrong, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense in a really practical way. It does make sense sometimes in a hierarchical way. There are reasons it exists, but
Usually the only reason that you'd ever deem a person to have any sort of authority is when you're in a hierarchical circumstance where decisions need to be made without debate. Like
yes,
either it's a time critical or
they might have other knowledge you don't have.
right. Well, the thing is that even then they're not really an authority because even the smartest person, even the most experienced persons can still make
Yes, yes,
mistakes. And really what authority is reason, truth,
yes.
rationality. It's basically the ability to understand and construct both the analysis of a problem and a solution of the problem. And it doesn't actually matter. That's not a personal trait. That can be a team trait, right?
Right.
But problems can be solved in a team. And so in that case, you wouldn't need to have necessarily a
Or
leader,
authoritative person, right?
authority figure. If you're in a team environment, it'd be anyone who basically spoke up and say, this is a next step of our problem. We're going to attack this. Are you equipped to handle this? Great, then do it. And it doesn't matter whether that person has the title boss or whether that person has the title peon. If they've identified the problem and a person able to fix the problem or to address the issue or to work on something or to even like necessarily be on a sales floor or go talk to a customer, oh, there's a customer over there, you should go talk to them. Like
It doesn't matter, right?
it doesn't matter whether I'm saying, oh, there's a customer, do you want to go help him? Like it doesn't matter whether I'm like the worker saying that to my boss or that's my boss saying it to me. We've identified that there's a customer that needs to be addressed, right? That's part of our job. Yeah, but so it's one of those things where like authority is not really vested in people, it's really vested in like the situations, and it's those
Okay,
things where,
so part of this, listener, if you have opinions on this, which I know you do because you're a listener and you're a person, so just leave a comment or what you think about this. This is, we find this stuff interesting and we'd love to continue this conversation later. But so in this case in particular, I thought it was funny. I was trying not to smile because she really didn't have authority over me, right? This was going to
right.
the half hour or half a shift that I had left would have been, a few dollars, and I had secured my other job. I was there as a courtesy to them to make sure somebody was there to do the job. And, I didn't need the money. We just
Right.
agreed that I would work, and I was holding up that agreement.
Yeah, like the 2 week notice. I understand that you don't necessarily have a warm body to fulfill my role immediately, which is why I give you a 2 week notice to, give you a heads up.
Exactly. And I didn't need a reference. I could have just left. And so it was very funny to me that she was very, upset and uptight and firm about this very important policy. And it was so laughable to me to go, I don't need this. All right, you want me to leave? See ya, and I didn't say that, but I was feeling that way, and I left, and I did go back in later
Yeah.
to after I had clocked out. I had gone and I had said goodbye to some of my coworkers, and that was that. And I don't really like Fred Meyers.
Yeah, a lot of retail environments are actually really like that, where you have a task oriented job or a service oriented job, and people misidentify like what policies are important to either be professional or to fulfill a service or to fulfill a task. And like a lot of like you get like if you're in a task oriented job, like there's a lot of busybody work that you can end up doing just because you've already completed your task for the day and there's no more tasks. The tasks are going to be client driven, and the only chance that you would have to perform more tasks is basically to go try to like formulate own clients, which is marketing and advertising. So you have to like take on a new role, so just so you don't have to like sit around and be like, okay, I guess I'll sweep the floors, or
Yeah.
I'm gonna clean out the coffee pot.
Yeah,
There's a whole
and
bunch of stuff like
there's
that.
like something to be said about doing your job well and making sure everything gets done and doing that, but it's kind of different when you're just doing it to look like you're doing something. I really hate that. I hate
Yeah,
that culture.
it's just busybody work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate that expectation.
And retail, like, because, well, I understand a little bit of the manager's things, because like you can get an environment of slackers, right, and people
Yeah.
that there'll be customers standing around looking doe-eyed and glazed and obviously needing some assistance, or just wanting to talk to somebody about clearing up, does this hair dye gonna work with, my antibiotics or something. But
Wow.
like you can have like some crazy customer
I've
questions.
never gotten something that I've been that unqualified to answer. Yeah, no, you should
Yeah.
be fine. Like either way, if I go, you should check with your doctor, or yeah, you should be fine. Both seem
Yeah.
ridiculous answers to me. Like, are you really asking that?
Well, some things are pretty important, like antibiotics and birth control. You can get pregnant because you took antibiotics and you're on birth control. So some things like that are pretty important, which is why they have like, oh, ask your doctor, right? And so I think ask your doctor is like a legitimate response. But like, I mean, I sort of understand, like, where managers want to keep their employees in the mindset of customer service, right? But the
Sure.
problem is that giving them basically busybody chores can actually do the opposite, where they like get so caught up into the sort of the a mindless, tedious task that
When a customer
they're
comes
just
up
like,
and is like, "Hey, is this thing?" They're like, "Huh? What's going on?"
yeah, they're totally brain dead. Sorry, I've been dusting the back of the shelves for the last 20 minutes, and
And my brain is thinking
my brain
about
is now
other
fun.
things. Yeah.
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 And so in that case, your busybody work is actually, hurt your ability to basically be, hi, oh yeah, it's great to see you, thank you. Yeah, I can answer your question. And why don't I? And like you can have misplaced busybody work where like you'll have like a customer come up and be like, can you show me this thing? And you're like, oh yeah, it's down it's going to be on the second aisle down here, but I can take you there and I can show you where it is on the shelf. But if they have some busybody tasks like dusting the back of the shelves, and nobody's seen the back of the shelves for like 10 years, and no one was going to see the back of the shelves for the next 10 years, they could be like, oh well,
It's over there.
it's down 2 aisles, and I
To the right.
can't actually help you or show
'Cause
you
I'm
around
busy.
the corner because my boss has given me this busybody work that is now more important than you, because my boss told me to do
That's
it.
an argument for talking with your coworkers, because if you're already engaged in conversation, it's very easy to switch to a different conversation and go, oh, like, we're talking about whatever, and we're kind of hanging out, and maybe we are doing some busybody work, but we're not paying attention to it, but we're talking, and then a customer comes up, hey, where's this thing? And you go, oh, it's right over here, and then maybe you'd want to take them. Like, they don't think about that stuff, though.
You get the kind of customer service all the time, where you run into some guy who's been stocking shelves for 3 hours, and you're like, hey, do you know where the spaghetti sauce is? And they're like,
Yeah, totally.
it's aisle 3, bottom shelf, towards the front of the store.
We gotta stop talking about this because I'm getting bad flashbacks. Like, we gotta move on because I'm like feeling traumatized and I'm like stressed out from this.
You haven't moved beyond it. It's like you're still too close to the trauma.
Yeah,
it's too soon.
You've lived it, but you're far enough out. I need some more time, man.
Even when I worked in retail, I actually worked in the back. And that's a much different experience. It's a lot better in a lot of ways.
It is better in a lot of ways. It's worse in some ways, but yeah. What I wanted to talk about today was your week. Your week has been very busy, I noticed, or maybe last 2 weeks. We haven't talked a lot. You've been busy doing this house stuff that we talked about earlier.
Yeah. Well, actually, what I would say the biggest thing about my last couple weeks is the ability to attack a problem that I'm uncertain about because I have somebody to hold my hand, right? Christina is her dad, basically my father-in-law, has done this several times, and so he is the expertise, he's the brains, I'm the muscle, and I get to learn a lot.
Can we put muscle in a big quotation marks right there? All right. Anyway, sorry.
I'm the muscle. Yeah. So anyway, so it's actually been a really good experience for me in overcoming procrastination
Oh, okay.
because in the last couple of years, like I guess this has more to do with procrastination than anything else, is that there are a lot of house projects that I have wanted to do or that I've thought about doing or could need to be done. These kind of questions that run around my brain basically stop me from ever starting a project. Usually it's the uncertainty and just a lack of confidence when dealing with a new subject that really.
Hinders you. That stops you. The fear of not knowing just completely stops you. No, actually, this is like a very well-known phenomenon that like I read about a lot because this just happens to me all the time. That's literally the only thing stopping you from doing anything, I think. And literally in the literal sense, not figuratively literally, but
In
literally.
the end, I usually can get enough muster to be like, okay. It's like I get tired of the uncertainty. I finally get to like my last legs. I'm just like, fuck it. I'm angry at the uncertainty, and I'm gonna go ahead and just do it. That's when my procrastination ends. But unfortunately, I've already procrastinated several months before I get to that point.
But what's great about this whole week is you've had somebody to basically tell you, okay, well, what's your list of stuff you need to do? And you're like, well, I do have this list of stuff. And then he's like, okay, here's how you
Yeah.
do this. Let's get started. And that's awesome. That's like why mentors exist, you know?
Kind of go back to classical way that people used to learn for vocational training or on the job sort of training. Like it used to be that you would inherit your father's business because you would just go around and do whatever your father was going to do, and that hasn't been the case. Or if you're going to be an artisan, you would again have a mentor or be like an intern, and you would basically be a journeyman or apprentice to somebody where they would be doing their own thing, and then you would be there. Well, they would look over your shoulder, but the fact is that when it came time to say, okay, well, you need to replace this window, they've already seen it done 3 times, so it's not going to be some sort of daunting sort of unknown task that you get and thing. But it's been mostly a way for me to like really just because I want to get to the point where I don't need a mentor looking over my shoulder before you start projects, right? You just want to be able to get into it, even though that uncertainty still exists and the confidence is not there.
That's I think that's just something to mentally get over. You can do that at any time. Like, it's not something you're only holding yourself back. Like there's nothing actually keeping you from doing that.
Yeah, no,
Which
it's
sucks,
just
but
like one of those things. Well, it's just like it's like cutting a hole in your roof. Like when we went up to do the flashing, like you were afraid that if you cut a hole in your roof, that it's going to cause a leak and it's going to ruin
everything in your house.
everything inside your house, right? Or it's going to cause some huge problem that becomes this like great thing. Like, okay, well, now that we have this leak, it didn't get on any of my stuff, but now I've it's totally ruined my ceiling, and I have to replace all the drywall, and it becomes like this big old project, right? And that sort of perpetual like fear like can stop you, and it's one of those things is like, okay, you actually do need to get to the place where cutting a hole in your roof is not a deal breaker.
You just need to ignore. I think you just basically need to ignore the fear. And even if you try to weigh the risks and you say, well, this risk really isn't worth doing it, you just need to do it anyway. Because that's how you learn. Like,
I would disagree. I think that you don't need to ignore the fear, but I think what you could do is like have a worst case contingency plan. Like, let's say I cut a hole in my roof. What's the worst case that has to happen? Well, I throw a tarp over it.
right,
All right.
right.
It's not a great solution, but the thing is that that happens, and
It works for a little while.
it works for a little while. It's like the oh shit handle in your car. It's like, what are you going to do if you need to hold the oh shit handle? It's like, if you get a hole in your roof, you can be, oh shit, I need to call my father-in-law to like come out and kick my ass and tell me how to fix this hole in the roof, right? And it's kind of like, if you think about the worst case scenario, usually it's a monetary problem. Like, let's say you're going to do some plumbing or something like that. Oh shit, what's the worst case that happened? You have to call the plumber to fix something you would already had to call a plumber with in the first place.
Totally. Well, I'm just thinking, like, by the way, for people who don't know, the oh shit handle in your car, it's that little handle that's on the roof. Our family, or I'm pretty sure just our family, calls it the oh shit handle. Maybe some of you out there are familiar with that. But anyway, I digress. What I'm thinking of is kind of that article or that study, whatever you read and you shared it with me, that basically more sociopaths are CEOs because they don't have any kind of fear of like actually actually failing. They just are like, oh yeah, I'm so great, of course I can do this. And like, so they don't have that limiting factor, so that's why they're CEOs. I think that's like kind of the attitude you gotta take. You just gotta be like, I guess somewhere over there, apart from me, there is a chance of failure, but that's not really going to happen. I feel like more often than not, you'd succeed. And when you fail, you'll just learn from it. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, usually the worst case scenario doesn't happen, and usually this is the kind of thing that, like, once you start getting into it, like your mom deals with this a lot because she has run a business and she has to do a lot of her own IT work because the people that she'd call to do her IT work are more incompetent than her, even at her novice level.
Yeah, totally.
This is the crazy thing, is even at her novice level, she is more competent than the IT service that she'd call.
Yeah.
This is one of those crazy things, is that you would think that if you had a problem with your plumbing, you would get great service by calling a plumber.
No.
And it's not true. Okay? Most of the things that you would do, you would get better service if you did it yourself. So even though replacing your windows or redoing your kitchen cabinets or tearing up your carpet and putting in new flooring, wood flooring, is something that might be very daunting, and you think that even because you're inept, right, you've never done this, like, you have no expertise, you have no experience, and you are completely cognizant of that fact. And so you would think that you'd be like, okay, if I sit down and do this, my job is going to be really shitty. It's going to be like coloring in a coloring book outside the lines and everything. And you think it's going to be so bad.
But the truth is that because you care more, you're going to do a better job.
Yeah.
It's your shit.
That's pretty much it almost always turns out that unless you happen to know a really great handyman, a really great plumber, a really great electrician, if you just fix it yourself, you're probably going to do a better job than you would by calling a quote unquote professional. Not because they couldn't do a better job. They probably have the expertise to do a way better job, but they're trying to get in and out of there as quickly as possible, and they're not, they'll cut corners for dollar amounts, they'll cut corners for time.
Totally, yeah.
They're not going to give you the same service quality that they would do if they were fixing their own tub.
Yeah.
And so when it comes time to fix your own tub, you're going to put in a lot of time. You're going to do it right. You're going to make sure that, okay, if I've done this incorrectly, if I have a loose fitting, what's going to leak? Let's double ensure that it doesn't leak.
Yes,
and
yeah, totally.
That's something that a plumber's not going to do for you.
Some will, but yeah, right. So plumbing related, something we've talked about in previous podcasts that I just want to reiterate because it's just great advice. So undeniably great advice. Buy a plunger before you need a plunger. We've talked about it before. Really, if you don't have a plunger right now, you need to just pause this podcast, go straight to the store and buy a plunger.
It's sadly true.
A good one, a black one with like a double lip. Don't buy those red ones that look like the Mario plungers or whatever.
No, those are sink plungers.
Yes, exactly. What I wanted to say is that I think overall you've had a pretty positive week though. You've been actually you've been doing stuff. You've been learning.
Mostly been attacking my procrastination. I feel like I've been successfully attacking my procrastination.
That's positive. I've had the week from hell.
Oh no. Well, you've already had to deal with some of your moving with your policy and your landlord, I imagine.
That was like a week ago. That was 2 weeks ago. I'm fine with that. That's fine. Whatever. All right, no big deal. But so my sister, who again designed the logo you're seeing, she became homeless.
What happened to her apartment that she's going to be moving into? Oh my gosh, I have no idea. Like, no wonder you had so much to talk to me about. Kendall is now like nowhere to live, sort of deal.
She has no home at the moment. So my sister was about to move. She had packed up all of her stuff the previous week and was getting prepared and getting ready. She had signed the lease. Everything was in agreement. But in Eugene, Oregon, don't move there because the places. The realty places, the places that own the apartments, they suck. And they suck big balls. And I don't think I want to call them out because there's like slander and stuff that I don't want to get into. Not that our podcast is reaching a very wide audience, but we'll call them, you can maybe infer if you've ever lived in Eugene, we'll call them Ding-a-ling Realty. And this place, Kendall was ready. She was like ready to move in because on the day that her old place was ending, her new place was supposed to begin. And she calls them up and they're like, oh, it's not ready. And apparently because somebody else owns it, but Realty does the move in, the owner didn't prepare it, and so there was some leak issue or something, and so she has no place to go for 2 weeks, and they were just like, "Yep, yep, sorry," and then that was in their conversation.
She actually has legal recourse if she so desires, but it's like one of those things where by the time you've actually fucking dealt with it, it's like too late.
This is the problem with like kind of the system we have in our government right now, is that there's a problem that large corporations have a lot of power and money to back them up, and so
Yeah.
it's very hard to take legal action against them. Anyway, so she stormed into their office, got pissed, as she was very righteously able to do, and
Yeah.
she got an agreement with them that she only had to pay half month's rent, that she got to move in within 2 weeks, that they store her stuff for her, and
Yeah.
so they saw that problem that way. Luckily, she has a boyfriend to stay with.
If you have a leak in your apartment or something tragically goes wrong with a lease where your lease agreement basically says that the landowner would basically maintain the structure and the housing to the point where something like that wouldn't happen. If it does, it's a lack of negligence on the part of the landlord. Then they actually have to pay for your housing. Like they have to pay for your hotel. Like I actually knew a girl who lived in Seattle, and they had it wasn't a ceiling collapse, but it was a failure of the roof. It didn't actually damage the structure, so it wasn't a ceiling collapse. But it ended up just flooding out over stuff, and they had to put her up in a hotel for 3 weeks.
Wow.
Because that's the way that the laws
Man, that's so
usually work.
crazy. Whatever, she's homeless. So luckily she does have a boyfriend to stay with, so that's what she's doing for a little while. I thought she was going to be coming here for an indefinite amount of time, and that was very stressful, but I was happy to have her, take her, of course.
Right. It's always pretty stressful when you'd be like, hi, I kind of need a place to stay.
Yeah.
Can I stay at your place? How long? I don't really know.
Yeah.
And you're like,
both of us don't want to be in that situation, of course, but, perfectly into that. So that was Saturday. My week from hell continued, because this is a very small complaint about my week from hell. This is the smallest week from hell. I have my keys here, and I maybe consider myself at least partially to be a minimalist, or like minimalism, and part of that is reducing the number of keys I have on my keychain. I don't like to have keys. Right. I would like to just put my fingerprint on things and have them open, but we're not there yet. So I have usually 3 keys on my keychain. One of them is my house key, and I have 2 houses, and I had to add an additional key, and it's kind of annoying to have an additional key. Anyway, that's the smallest bit of, not really anything to complain about. I just wanted to throw it in there. My work this week, our main guy who does invoices and takes care of a lot of things, he is out on vacation. And so that means the work that he had to do is distributed to the other 2 employees, me and my coworker, and we had to do all of his things. So we're extremely busy at work. And then a couple months ago, we got another rat. We have pet rats. Despite what you may think, listener, they're very cuddly and very nice pets.
They're actually good pets.
Yeah, they're wonderful pets, and they're very nice.
I mean, just like all pets where you have to clean up after them, like a kitty litter box or any sort of caged animal, that's kind of annoying. But as far as, being loving pets and great pets, they're good.
We get this rat. I've never been bit since I had them at 13. Maggie gets this rat from a place that can't take it. It starts to get a tumor like right away, and it gets really big. And over the last couple months, we've been trying to kind of be nice to it and get it used to us, and it's not been working. And then at the start of this week, it chomped into Maggie's finger hard.
Oh.
And it swelled up, and I had to take her home from work. Maggie happens to be here right now, and she is showing off to Ben her giant swollen finger. It looks much better than the other day. So anyway, So
did you have to go to urgent care?
She went to the doctor, and she didn't wait that long. I think she waited like an hour or something. It wasn't that urgent because she got the bite in the middle of the night, and I took her the next day. But basically, she had to get shots. I had to be driving her around, and dear listener, my partner has been so crippled by this incident that She cannot open her own beer. And I just had
And
to do it.
that's a tragedy indeed.
That's a tragedy indeed. So I've had to been running around to the doctors and been lifting things. And we are moving this week. We're painting before we're moving in. We're painting all of the walls.
Yeah.
She is going to have difficulty painting. She's going to have difficulty moving. We've already had that, so it's been mostly me.
Yeah.
Oh, what a incredible week. It's been very stressful. It's been great to get to today and just be done with that week. That week can go away. I'm ready to move and finish moving this weekend because that's what we'll be doing.
Yeah, well, good luck with that. That's pretty cool.
Everybody's moving. I've got a couple of friends that are moving. My sister's moving. You're getting ready to move, and I'm moving.
Yeah.
So do you guys have a deadline? That's the last thing I wanted to ask.
Is your mom going to be prepared to move pretty soon too?
Actually, my mom is coming up tonight, and she is going to help us paint tomorrow and help us move on Sunday.
Okay.
So she's going to come visit, which is great. And so she is in the last stages of she's selling a business, so she has to do that, and there's a lot of paperwork that goes along with that. And then after that, she will likely move to Portland. Yeah. So, but what I was gonna ask you, do you guys have a deadline? Like, do you have a date you have to move by?
Well, because we're selling a house, we're going to be putting on a market, and that house could be on the market for a year if we put our house on the market for $1 million, right? So we have to properly price the house so that it would sell. And
I hate to break this to you, Ben.
I
hate to break this to you. I've been to your house. It's not worth $1 million.
It is sadly not worth $1 million. However, if I were to sell it for $100,000, I could probably sell it in about 4 hours. for $100,000, I could probably sell it in under 4 hours.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't do that.
So I have to pick some number between 100,000 and $1 million. Without getting into details, it can take 3 weeks in the shortest period of time. It can take much, much longer I'm not going to go into those details either, but if there's liens on your property, if you're in debt, if you're not really ready, if the house is trashy, there's a lot of factors that can basically affect the date. Now, because Christina, this is a job motivated move where Christina has a job that she has to fulfill, it's most likely that we're probably going to be around in the Portland area come November.
So November is basically the date.
No, that's basically when we will probably have an apartment in Portland. It doesn't mean that we will have sold the house by then, because there's no way to necessarily know exactly when you're going to sell your house. We'd hope that we'd be able to sell it, and that we'd be able to do all the closing papers and everything by that, and be done with it, so that we're not.
You're hoping you're not paying for two places at once. That's what.
Well, that your life is not in two locations separated by 300 miles, right? You want your life to be located within an area that you can get to within an hour, right? You don't want to be like, sorry, after we're done with lunch today, I can't deal with you anymore because I have to drive 3 hours to get to a place 300 miles away so that I can associate with somebody else to, get my life in order.
That would be horrible. So yeah, hopefully you avoid that. Today was a long episode, but I feel really satisfied with that. So I think we stop there. I do want to say, sorry for all the people who did deliberately watch the movie Her. If you haven't done that, you're lucky. I get some more time to do that because we haven't spoiled it yet, but I will get Ben to watch that movie. I will do it. It's a great movie.
I haven't watched it yet. I've been really busy this week.
You have been really busy. Totally acceptable. But yes, it's so great. It's a great movie. Please go watch it because we're going to talk about it next time. You'll find out.
Well, thanks for listening. So until that time, thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye-bye, guys.
This has been a Gravity Well podcast. Thank you for listening, and have a lovely day. We'll see you next time.